Welcome to lesson and video 7 of our student portfolio project and playlist. Thanks for joining us. Let's pick up right where we left off. On the screen is the finished product. And this is where we actually set up the structure for the HTML hero page and actually styled. And this is home or index.html. So our job for today is to set up the structure, the HTML structure for our projects page. And on the projects page, we're going to have a introductory header and paragraph, and then a card for each project that has the title of the project done, and then instructions to click the link to take you to the project itself, the website, and then a description of the project, the course, and a link to the source code, and a link to the GitHub repository for the project. So that card then is going to act as one project for each one done for a student. So going forward, my students, part of your submission will be to actually populate your project on your student portfolio. That comes next in the freelance. Right now, let's just get the walkthrough structure done. All right, let's head on over to our Cloud9 IDE. On the left-hand side, pull down your project folder, and we're going to need the following files. Index.html, let's open that up. And we did create, if you recall, a projects.html page. And that should be blank. It was just done with the Linux command touch. That's waiting for us here. And let's begin the process. So back on my index.html file, I had a significant omission in the prior videos specifically for the navigation. So back to our finished project here. If we shrink down the page, if you are following the videos and you're not able to click on this navbar toggle button here, and that should drop down or change the perspective and drop down our menu. And we need JavaScript for that. So one of the omissions that I left off, my apologies, is we need to go all the way down to the bottom of our index.html. So remember, we had the head tag with the links to CSS. And again, just a reminder, browser reads index first, so it's going to immediately know there are style pages to pick up. Then the structure begins. In the body, the structure that's first seen by the browser is the navigation section, the hero section, and finally, we need to now pull our cursor right to the end of our final hero section, hit enter a few times, and we need a SCR, a script snippet. And we need to link our JavaScript file, and our JavaScript file is titled script.js. Okay, so that should now work. If we save that, your toggle button should now work. And the reason why we want JavaScript at the bottom, we want all of the HTML, CSS, the user interface structure set up and loaded first in the browser, and then apply the JavaScript after. So make sure you keep that right above the body closing tag, and we're set. Okay, now remember that we could just hit, I'm going to head on over to my projects.html, and we could use Shift-1. And we could place that exclamation mark and then hit tab, and we could populate the entire skeletal feature of our HTML structure. However, we have a little bit more advanced work done for us already. So do me a favor, recall this for future projects, but I want to Control Z and cancel that out. And come on back to index. We have pretty much everything we need here. So let's copy everything from line 1 all the way down to the very bottom. Make sure you get the HTML closing tag. Put that in your clipboard. Click off of that for a moment. And now paste it in. So let's think about this for a minute. What do we need to change? Well, first of all, I want to close out of the index.html because now we have similar files and I don't want any confusion. So that's going to go off of my editor. I'm working now on projects, so immediately let's go into our title and put Aladdin's projects. Second, everything in the navigation section stays. However, hero section does not. So this is where the comments come in nice and handy. So let's delete that, and we are ready to go. All right, so I want to grab the navigation comment up here, put that in my clipboard, move to the end of the nav closing, hit enter twice, and paste that. And we are now going to put, remember we're in the projects page here, so this is going to be the project header. And we're going to start that immediately off with a section snippet. And inside of the section, oh no, my apologies. We want a semantic header. This is the header, so we want a header snippet. Not head snippet, but header. And there we go. Inside of the header opening tag, we want a class attribute. And we want to call this, let's see, projects header. All right. And inside of projects header, we want an H2 snippet. And in that H2, I'm going to put the content my projects. And we want an H4 snippet. And I'm saying snippet, it's actually H2 element or tag and an H4 tag. I'm just using the snippet. That's part of the IDE, so my apologies for the misuse of the language there. All right, let's put in here projects. I have completed in my CS courses. Okay. And I'm going to move my cursor to the end of the H4, hit delete so that we have that nice and tight with our header tag. So our intro on the page is all set, nice and simple. Let's hit Control S. I'm going to now copy the comment here, move my cursor to the end of the header tag, hit enter twice, and new section here. And this is going to be the project cards. And this is, this may sound a little familiar. This is going to model a little of our image gallery project that we started your journey off with. And we're going to start with a section tag, section snippet. And inside of the section tag, the opening, I want a class attribute, class equals. And we want to call this class project gallery. Let me make sure I spelled that right. Okay. So as you can imagine, this section tag, this rectangle, is going to contain all of our cards. So, and I just noticed I have a spelling mistake up above here. That should be my, not MU. Okay, and so now we want project gallery here. Move your cursor to the end. I'm going to hit enter twice. And next we want a div snippet. Inside of, and enter inside of the div open, we want a class attribute of project card. Okay, so from here on out, what we're going to do is create the structure for one card. Once we have that to our satisfaction, just like our image gallery, we're going to just replicate that multiple times. All right, so first things first, if you go back to our project page here, this is the finished product. The card has the title first, some instructions, image, description, course, and then our links. So let's start off with an H2 tag using the H2 snippet. And inside of here, I'm going to put the actual title of the project. So our first one was image gallery if you were my students. So this is the title of your project. And now we want a P tag, paragraph element. And inside of the paragraph element, I want an emphasis element. So I'm going to use that. And remember, we've used this before. This is just going to highlight a little bit of importance, heighten the importance to what we're putting inside of the content. And that content will be click. Image below. Click image below to see project. All right. And next we want the actual image. So the image, we're going to do a couple things. We want to wrap this into an anchor tag. because we want to use the image. We want to hover over the image, but we want it to act like a link. So it's going to be an anchor tag first. So our A snippet. And then we want the image inside of that. So where we have the white pound sign, we want an image snippet. And at this point, we want to go grab the image. Now, this will require some work from you, but if I go over to my assets file, you probably only have, for my students with the starter code, the Aladdin. You want to carry forward the Sea Turtle JPEG from our Hawaii project. And as you go forward, as you populate your projects, you want one image that kind of exemplifies the work that you did in this project. So kind of a, I don't know, a heading image, if you will. So once you do that, remember you want to move it into your file folder structure. And then when you have that, you'll just drag it over the assets folder and drop it in there. And that's where we have this one. Hover over it, copy file path, bring it into our source. Okay, so Control V. Once we have the source, we want to make the adjustment. We do not need the reference to the project folder, but we do need the reference to the assets folder. Okay, let's see. Now, what we want is the actual link to our project. So I'm going to cheat a little bit here. I'm going to go to the finished product once again. And this is what we want to have happen. As we move the cursor, we want to hover over the image and click. And this link is to your GitHub Pages published website of your project. So I want to copy that into my clipboard. Another spot that you could get this from is from actually going to your GitHub portfolio, or excuse me, your GitHub repo. And remember, on the right hand side under the About section, we highlighted that actual address, so you could right click on that, copy link address, and bring it over. So once we have that in, we want to put that in the href, and we are set. So that now will make the image, turn it into a link, and take us right to our project. So I think mission accomplished here, so let's keep going. So after that, let's see. Now we want to put in a paragraph tag describing the project. So I'm just working my way down. So this is going to be a p tag, p snippet for paragraph element. And we're going to put a description. This is a static. And I want to put this project static website image gallery of Hawaii. Now what we mean by static is there is no interaction. It's just simply HTML and CSS. And we will be adding interaction to future projects with JavaScript soon enough, but I think that is our description here. Let me just put a period at the end of it. This project is a static website image gallery of Hawaii. Okay, so now we want, let's see here. We want the course. So I'm going to go back again. We're going to put the course that this is in. So I want a p tag as well to start this off. Then I also want an emphasis tag as well. And the course is going to be, let's see. We're going to actually put the word course colon and CS foundations. Okay. I believe that is it for that line. Let me just double check. Yes. All right, so now we have one. Let me just, as a reminder, hit Control S to save back, and we have two more things to put in. We have the source code reference and the GitHub repository reference. So let's actually set that up first I'm going to use the GitHub repo first and then come back to the source code. So we need two things here. So I am going to set this up in its own rectangle and use Flexbox. So let's do that now. So we want a div snippet move inside of the open tag with a class attribute of project icons. Okay, I want to hit enter so that I've got the open and close with the proper indentation. And next up, another div snippet. Move inside of the open tag, class equals, and we're going to put GitHub repo here. Do the same thing, move your cursor in between the tags for open and close here, hit enter. And inside of this, we're going to have an A tag with a link. And then we're going to bring something called Font Awesome in so that we could get this little icon down here. So we're going to get the actual cat from GitHub, the icon. So let's first create the anchor tag. And we want the link to go to the actual repository. So go back to your original repository here. And I'm going to again use the finished product. So here is my repository from the image gallery walkthrough. We now, this time, we do not want the actual published product. What we want is the actual repo, the repository. So up on the top there, capture the URL in the web address. So Control C, come on back and let's paste that in the anchor tag right like that. And now we need to finish up with something called Font Awesome. So before we do anything else, hit save. And I want you to go back to, let me clear out some of these. We don't need this anymore. Image gallery, we don't need anymore. And back to student portfolio. So if we scroll down into our resources here, our additional project resources, please click on, well, actually, GitHub does not allow us to do open in a different tab. So we want to double click on this and open the Font Awesome link in a new tab. And then we want to go down one more and we want the CDN, the Content Delivery Network for Font Awesome. So click on that, open that in a new tab. And let's go to the first one. Font Awesome is here. We are going to start for free. And we're going to go down and we're going to explore icons. So once you're in explore icons, we want to just type in GitHub and hit enter. And there is the GitHub icon that we're going to use. And notice, conveniently, it gives us the HTML tag to put in. However, this is styling. Notice that this is a class attribute. So we actually need a CSS link to their classes. And that's what this CDN is for. So hop on over to the CDN network for Font Awesome, and a CDN is a content delivery network, meaning my best explanation right now as a novice is simply a way to deliver content all over the world, but at locations closest to you so that the speed of delivery is efficient. So, but we want that first line. Notice here, this is cdnjs.cloudflare.com. Font Awesome's the library we're using. And notice here, all.min.css. This is a CSS file. We are going to use the link tag. Convenient for us here. Come on back to our projects page, and we want to go all the way up. Remember, CSS links come up on the head tag at the top. Hit enter and Control V, and we have that set up. So now, click save. Now we're pulling in 3 different CSS files, style, nav, and the Font Awesome icons. So we could use the icon. And we're going to put that icon one more time inside of the project icons div class for project icons, and specifically inside of the GitHub repo. And if you know, this is, as we just left this off, our H tag has taken us to the repository. Here's where the icon's going to go. So let's go grab that from our first page. Click on that. We want the Font Awesome GitHub icon. Click on that. Notice it says copy. Come on back. Put your cursor to the right of that white hash and delete and paste. Okay. Let's see how that has worked now. Keep in mind when we do the preview here, I am going to close my pane down here so my preview is up on the side. And I'm going to scroll over a little bit this way. Okay. So one final thing here, Control S and to save, and remember we didn't style this yet, so it's not going to look the best, but let's see how we set up. Here is our title. Notice the navigation comes along as expected, so we didn't have to replicate that work. It was just a copy. Now we have my projects and projects I have completed, and then the project card starts. There's no distinction yet. We haven't styled it. There's our instruction, and there's our link. Notice when I'm over the image, I have that hand motion. And down below, this project is a static website image gallery of Hawaii. There's our course. And there's our little icon way down here. Notice it has a link. If we click on it, it takes us right to, it refused to connect in the preview, but that will take us right to our repo, and we'll test that at a future time. So right now we know that it's working, at least from the hand point of view. So we'll test it in the style section. So let me close out of that. And one more thing we want to do here. I want to copy this, not the project icon. I want to copy the GitHub tag. So notice I'm coming from line 51 on my screen to 53. I want to grab everything there. Control C, hit enter, and I want to paste that. And if you recall, in the final project, we had source code first and the GitHub repository second. So that means I want the last one to be GitHub. This one up here, the top one, we're going to change the class reference. And let's change that class reference to source code. And we're going to remove our link, and we're going to temporarily put a hashtag. We're going to get the link in the next video. There's a little bit of work to do with that. But right now, we could actually remove the I tag here for Font Awesome. If you want, we could put that hash back in, and let's go find the icon for a file. So taking a look here, we want this file icon. So let's head on back to Font Awesome, hit X, and in our search, just type in the word file. There it is. Now notice there's a couple of different up on top here. We got solid, regular, light, and so on. We want to stay with the solid, but again, take a look in the HTML tag here. If I just go to light, or regular, excuse me, it's referring to an Font Awesome regular class, and it's still referring to the file. So there's two classes being used, so clearly you now know that a class attribute, this is a CSS file. We didn't have to create it. We're just using it from Font Awesome. So we want the solid one. Click on that, copy it, let's bring it in here. And inside of the source code, back out of that white hashtag. And there we go. Okay, hit Control S. And at this point, we've wrapped up the structure of the HTML for our projects file. So the next lesson and next video, we are going to set up this link for our source code, and you'll do that on all of your projects. It's a cool little trick to make a PDF of your source code. And then we're going to style this page. So thanks for coming along, everybody. We will see you in the next one.